more you listen, the more you'll know. Power 98.7.
Right, let's get into this topic on AI Unpacked. We take a closer look at South Africa's growing interest in artificial intelligence and ask whether the hype translates into impact. Google recently held an AI in Action event in Joburg, showcasing the way AI could be used across sectors. However, questions remain about how deeply AI is being adopted, who's benefiting, and what challenges still stand in the way. Joining us to discuss this is Kabelo Makwane, who's the Country Director for Google South Africa. Good evening, Kabelo. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good evening. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for having your listeners on as well.
Fantastic. So there's a lot of excitement around AI, Kabelo, but what does this really mean, and what is the real adoption picture looking like on the ground in South Africa?
The good thing about AI is that it's not been a revolution, it's been an evolution. It has its roots in machine learning, and for some time now, a lot of people have been using mobile personal assistants without even realizing that actually they're using artificial intelligence. I think we all familiarly know tools like Gemini in your pocket PC that you can talk to and ask questions of, and they can respond to you. And effectively, those mobile assistants are built on AI frameworks and AI architecture. So the adoption curve is synonymous with mobile phone adoption, first and foremost, but now more pervasively, it's starting to make its way into corporates and enterprises through PC functionality and browser functionality and through search functionality. So we're seeing an exponential increase in people adopting AI in their day-to-day tasks. For instance, for productivity gain purposes, whether in simple tasks like writing an email where your personal assistants can actually even complete your sentences. I think we all fondly or not so fondly, recognize when, Gmail is completing your sentence before you finish typing it, right? And these are some of the examples of how AI is starting to integrate, nascently embedded in our productivity tools that we use on a daily basis. Gmail, spreadsheets, PowerPoint presentations, or documents that we are producing. And these are some of the tools that we use on a daily basis. And effectively, more and more people are using AI in the back end without even realizing it. But more deliberately, and more so recently, people are also using AI for information, for search purposes. Is the traditional way which we are used to, prompting a search engine and writing a cryptic one-word, or a very short sentence. Now we can actually type and speak to computers as if we're talking to a human being, right? Natural language processing has become very, very commonplace for people using AI in all sorts of manners, whether they're seeking medical advice in some cases, or they're just trying to do some DIY, or they're trying to get information about a certain subject matter or topic, etc., or even in research for that matter. Now, the advancements are quite at an accelerated pace compared to where they were before. And that's why, it's kind of becoming more and more top of mind for a lot of people, because it's not so much about whether you're using AI or not. It's whether the next person who's using AI is more efficient, is more productive, and actually can get done a lot faster, which then determines, whether, you are going to be the preferred person for a specific objective or not.
I mean, I remember when we started using AI tools in journalism, by uploading a document and an audio file, and it would transcribe, and that was considered quite advanced maybe 6-7 years ago. And now obviously that's just so easy these days with the various tools that have come about. So it's really been interesting to see how so much of the technology's changed in the last 6 or 7 years. And what are some of the sectors or types of businesses that are genuinely integrating AI in South Africa?
It's across the board, right? It's from from your traditional sectors in financial services and retail sectors, in academia and education, social services. There's all sorts of applications in legal practices. AI is finding application. The profound thing about AI is that there's no sector that's going to be immune to it. It finds application across the board, because one of the fundamentals about artificial intelligence is automating mundane tasks, and therefore alleviating human beings to do more higher order tasks and the completion of those tasks. The second thing that is also fundamental about it is just the fact that you are now giving machines the ability to act and mimic human capability, and have the ability to also reason and draw relational capabilities within different pieces of data inputs, as would a human being in many cases. And so therefore you can then see that across industries it will find application. You will never be able to then I say preemptively replace a human being, but now you are freeing up humans to do higher order engagements and higher order innovation using this technology across the board. And I think some examples, just things that are practical and things that we really, really need, and where AI can be quite beneficial, is solving some societal challenges. For instance, we have a big challenge around climate change. And climate change is affecting everyone, right? It's a global phenomenon, it's a global challenge. And being able to have the predictive capability using analytics that are embedded in some of the AI tools will help save a lot of lives, for starters. Beyond climate change, we have the issue of digital exclusion, and how do we foster more and more digital inclusion? And by this, I mean people that are not able to interact with technology because of certain inhibitors, i.e., they can't type, they're not literate in that way, and a QWERTY keyboard is an intimidating thing for a lot of people, right, on a PC. So being able to interact with technology in natural language and natural gestures, including, by the way, sign language, is where it really comes of its own in terms of advancing human capabilities.
Yeah, and for people with disabilities, it's an absolute game changer. There are, though, some concerns, and I'm glad that you touched on the predictive capabilities around AI, because the data centers are they're very water. They need a lot of water intensive. There's also concerns about the amount of energy that they need. Nuclear reactors are being built in order to supply some of the data centers. So there are some very real concerns about the impact of AI on our planet.
Yes, I mean, this is a very front and center topic, and to that extent, what you're finding more and more is that in the rudimentary implementation of data centers, of course, they were quite resource thirsty in terms of non-renewable energy sources, and more as the technology evolves and matures, there's the ability to use more sustainable ways of energy generation than there was in the past. For example, there are the data centers, modular data centers, which are submersible, as an example, which therefore require, less in terms of fossil fuels, etc., to from a cooling perspective. In other instances, there's very good use cases now around renewable sources of energy, whether it's wind or solar, in data center powering than there was before. And the technology has come of age in terms of its capabilities and efficiency, and also the ability to retain that energy in stored medium, such as batteries, right? Battery technology has is advanced quite significantly to the extent that even in our own instances, we are considering an energy mix, in our, energy supply from an ESCOM point of view, which comprises of renewable sources of energy, something that was, historically unfathomable, right? Because the technology had just not gotten to that extent where you can provide a sustainable energy source of baseload using renewables. So I think that there's the opportunity for us to continue to evolve how we are environmentally friendly, because yes, to your point, these data centers are resource hungry. They are using a lot of energy, but using energy that is renewable is definitely where the future is going.
And just a final thought to get your thinking around this. For businesses that want to adopt AI but haven't yet, what are some of the common barriers that they face? Is it skills? Is it infrastructure, regulations, perhaps?
It's actually across the board. This is a very, very new technology in many instances and in many frames of, let's call it, thinking. For example, a big inhibitor is just around policy. And policy doesn't only talk to public sector institutions, but company policy is also a big area that we are focused on. How do companies actually integrate AI in the day-to-day operations, but do so in a secure way, such that company privileged information doesn't find its way into a public domain? Because AI relies on publicly available information.
Right.
It's effectively like a vacuum cleaner that sifts the internet and says, okay, here's the total pool of addressable, available public information in the entire world, in the entire universe. How do I actually use that to provide information that's meaningful and useful? In those instances, you don't want, sensitive financial research and development or very secret information in a public domain. So there's the ability to use it in an enterprise, but in a secure and very guarded and very secure type of manner. And those frameworks exist today. The other one is one that we are grappling with academia. And academia is grappling with students who are using AI to accelerate them completing assignments and writing their thesis or papers and dissertations and doing research, etc. To shun the technology, I think, is a very short-termist approach. And therefore, in that instance, we are working very intently with academia to help them to create and develop policies that will enable the integration of AI into teaching and learning and transformation of pedagogy. That's important. Last but not least is government. Legislation always lags, technology evolution. Technology, evolves at a much more accelerated pace. And therefore, with governments, instead of governments coming up with draconian legislations, we need, as technology, OEMs, original equipment manufacturers, and innovators, we need to first self-regulate in areas such as responsible AI, protection of intellectual property, making sure that we remove biases in the development of this technology, and then support government in developing legislation that will not hinder but work in tandem with and ensure that there's protection, sovereignty, and also citizen privacy in the use of these technologies. We have a big job. It's a big job ahead of us.
It's a huge job.
For the task.
All right. Thanks very much. That's Kabelo Makwane, Country Director for Google South Africa on AI Unpacked.